In a kingdom known for its warriors, there was an archer named Kenji. He was not the strongest or the most famous, but he possessed a gift that others could only dream of. Kenji could hit anything. It didn't matter the distance, the wind, or the light. If he could see a target, he could strike it. He practiced alone in the forests, shooting at leaves fluttering in the breeze, at acorns falling from branches, at the spaces between the raindrops. His focus was absolute. In those moments of solitude, his mind was clear, his hand was steady, and the arrow was simply an extension of his will. The target and he were one. His skill became legendary, even though no one had ever witnessed it. People spoke of the archer who could thread an arrow through a hanging bell without making it ring. The king himself heard the rumors and summoned Kenji to the capital. A great tournament was announced. The finest archers in the land would compete, and Kenji was invited to demonstrate his legendary skill before the entire court. Kenji traveled to the city with a heavy heart. He was a creature of the quiet forest, not of noisy crowds. But you do not refuse a king. On the day of the tournament, the grand arena was packed. Thousands of people filled the seats. Nobles in silks and jewels chatted in the royal box. Soldiers lined the walls. The air buzzed with excitement and expectation. When Kenji's name was called, a hush fell over the crowd. This was the mysterious archer everyone had heard about. This was the moment to see if the legend was true. Kenji stepped onto the field. He gripped his bow. His mouth was dry. The target was set at the far end of the arena, a small, painted disc no larger than a man's hand. An easy shot for him. He had hit 1,000 smaller targets in the forest. He knocked an arrow, raised his bow, and drew the string. He aimed, and then he saw them. Thousands of eyes, all fixed on him. He felt the weight of their judgment. He heard a whisper from the crowd, a cough, a stifled laugh. His mind, usually so quiet, began to chatter. What if I miss? What will they think of me? The legend will be broken. They will call me a fraud. The king will be displeased. The thoughts swirled like a flock of startled birds. His hand began to tremble, just slightly. The point of the arrow wavered. He knew with absolute certainty that if he released now, he would miss. He lowered his bow. A murmur ran through the crowd. He tried again. He took a deep breath, raised the bow, drew the string. But the eyes were still there. The judgment was still there. The doubt was now a roaring river in his mind. His hands shook visibly. He could not steady himself. He lowered the bow again. The crowd began to buzz with disappointment. Whispers of overrated and fraud reached his ears. The legend was crumbling. Just then, an old man stepped from the crowd. He was the king's own master, a retired archer who had trained generations of warriors. He walked slowly onto the field and stood before Kenji. He looked into the young man's terrified eyes and understood everything. Your skill has not left you, the old master said quietly, so only Kenji could hear. It is still there. Your hands are the same hands that hit the falling leaf. Your eyes are the same eyes that saw the space between the raindrops. You are not missing because of your ability. Then why? Kenji whispered, his voice breaking. Why can't I shoot? The master reached into his robe and pulled out a strip of dark silk. Because you are not seeing the target, he said. You are seeing their eyes. You are seeing their judgment. You are aiming at what they might think, and that is a target no one can hit. He held up the strip of silk. Let me show you what it is to see again. He gently tied the blindfold over Kenji's eyes. The world went dark. The thousands of people vanished. The whispers ceased. The judgment disappeared. There was only Kenji, his breath, his bow, and the memory of the target. Now, the master's voice came from the darkness, calm and steady. Shoot! Kenji raised his bow. He drew the string. There was nothing in his mind but the feeling of the bow, the tension of the string, and the perfect, clear image of the target in his memory. He released. The arrow flew through the air. The crowd gasped and fell utterly silent. Kenji heard the sound he knew so well from the forest, the solid, satisfying thunk of an arrow striking its mark dead center. He pulled off the blindfold. The arrow was buried in the heart of the disc. The crowd erupted in cheers, but Kenji barely heard them. He was looking at the old master, who simply smiled and walked away. Kenji finally understood. The obstacle had never been his skill. It had been his focus. He hadn't been missing the target. He had been aiming at the wrong thing entirely. He was seeing the judgment and calling it the target. Every day, you stand in your own arena. You have a target you want to hit, a dream, a goal, a moment of peace, a creative project. Your hands are skilled enough. Your heart is capable. But you look up and you see the crowd. You see the eyes of social media, the judgment of your family, the expectations of your boss, the comparisons to your friends. You start aiming at those eyes, trying to please them, trying to avoid their disapproval, and your hands begin to shake. The master's blindfold is not about hiding from the world. It is about choosing what you see. It is about closing your eyes to the judgment and opening them to the target. The crowd will always be there, but you don't have to look at them. Look at the goal. Feel the target in your memory, in your heart. Shoot. The only opinion that matters is the one that lands the arrow.